Do you know what's in your garage? Maybe up in your attic? If someone says, hey, do you have our yearbook? Do you know exactly where that is? No? Well, me too. But I'm trying out Scanlily, which is an app that will help catalog everything from comic books to action figures to cables, Halloween decorations, Christmas lights, shoes, more shoes, a whole storage locker dedicated to Air Jordans, my drums, more drums, a dedicated locker. Well, you get the idea. We're going to take a look at Scanlily, how it works, and then add a few things so I know exactly where my yearbook will be. And we'll do that next on Geekazine. What's up, my geeks? Jeffrey Powers from Geekazine, Think Magazine, Put in a Geek. Now, Scanlily did send me product, and of course, they sent me the QR codes, and of course, they're sponsoring this video, but all opinions are of my own. I have a full review section over at geekazine.com/review where you can check that out. You can also go over to youtube.com/Geekazine to comment on anything that you've seen here. Now, Scanlily is an AI-powered inventory and asset management platform designed to help people quickly organize and track physical items without the usual manual data entry. Instead of typing everything out, you can simply take photos or record a video, and the system will automatically identify objects. They'll create descriptions, build a searchable inventory, all for you. It works across mobile and web, making it easy to manage everything from a home setup to business equipment or just a yearbook. At its core, Scanlily combines AI image and video recognition with QR code tracking, so you can label items or storage bins or boxes or anything with QR codes, then scan them later to instantly pull up details like the contents, the location, or the notes. It also supports barcode scanning, natural language search, and even GPS tracking, so you can find exactly where something is and what's associated with it within seconds. The platform is built for both individuals and teams. For home users, it's useful for organizing storage, moving, or documenting items for insurance. For businesses, it adds features like multi-user access, equipment booking, maintenance reminders, and reporting, essentially replacing spreadsheets with a smarter, automated system that keeps everything visible and easy to manage. So if you borrow out that pole saw to your neighbor, you can scan that in and say, hey, the neighbor has it. So if by next year you're wondering where your pole saw is, all you have to do is call up the app and say, oh yeah, Fred has it. I better go next door and get it back. Scanlily they have the QR code system and, of course, the app where you're going to be scanning all of this stuff into the database. That's what we're going to take a look at next. And then, of course, at the end, I will give you all my pros and cons and final thoughts. To get started, all you need is the phone and the app, but we can also get these QR codes from Scanlily, and of course they send them to you like this. You'll download the Scanlily app. Of course, you'll attach a QR label to an item, which we'll end up doing throughout this video. Then, of course, you scan the label, you give it the description, and then you can give more information from there. As you can see, there are 3 different plans right here: the free plan, the pro plan, and the business plan. Free plan, of course, nothing. It's $0 and gives you some basic stuff. For the $9 a month, you can get an inventory valuation from photos and video, and you can set alerts, and you can view history of changes and a lot more. And of course, you have the business plan, which starts at about 10 users. Prices will vary, so you can contact Scanlily to find out a little bit more about how that all works. Of course, you'll need the app to get started. So we have the app all loaded up on iOS, on Android. And of course, we've got 2 options from here. We can add a container without using QR codes, or we can add a container by scanning QR code. That's what these are back here. So we'd pull out a sticker, we'd put it on a bin or a product, and then we'd scan it. We could actually mark it down on the QR code and, of course, mark it here. So now the next question is, what am I going to scan? Well, I have a couple things that I want to catalog. Growing up, of course, I was a comic book fan. I was a big fan, of course, of DC Comics, Superman, Batman, and I collected a lot of them, especially during the Doomsday and the Death of Superman run, which was a big event for me. So I have a lot of these comics. I also have some other comics like Spider-Man 2099. There's a Quantum Leap comic. I have a few bins of these, but I just pulled out a certain amount of comics here to show you how easy it is just to get it started. So we've got a few of the Doomsday comics here. So I want to add a container without a QR code. We're going to do an image. We can choose an image or a video or none. We're going to say image. We're just going to do add container. This is just basically the comic book itself. So I'm going to go up like this, and I'm going to grab a snapshot of the comic. And there we go. We have the comic itself. Looks good. I'm going to say done. And I'm going to say that it's basically processing this. And then I will probably put in some information into that once it's done processing. There we go. Basically says it's a bagged Superman comic book collection, a collection of comic books, each appearing to be with individually protected clear plastic sleeves and stacked together. The top book says Superman Doomsday Hunter Prey 1. So it's giving me all the information here on this with a description. It's in category. I've got that in new comics. I can set a color to it, a red, blue, orange, or yellow, which I won't check, of course. And then the brand is DC Comics, so we'll check that. And then we can approve this. So now I have one item in my list, and that, of course, is the comic book. I can go from comic book to comic book to comic book and scan it all in and bring it up from here. The next thing I can do is scan like a bin or a container, because you wouldn't put a QR code on the comic itself. You would put the QR code on the bin. And that's where we're going to go next. Kilroy was here. Some of you might not get that, but this is the bin right here that I'm going to be using. My comics are inside. I don't know if you can see that. There they are. Of course, I have more than that many comics, but my comics are inside and I'm ready to go. I want to put a sticker on here. That's where this comes in. Now, stickers, we've got sheet stickers right here. Scanlily also has these really small ones. This kind of looks like an old matchbook. You open it up, there's a whole bunch of small QR codes in there, and it gives you, this one gives you 45 QR codes. So if you don't want it to be as prominent as these, because they also have a color coding to it, then you can put it in the corner and then you can scan that, but nobody else can scan that or see that, for that matter. Try to see that. We're going to use one of the big labels, of course. We're going to use this, we'll use this purple one, like the purple. So we're going to peel that off. So we got the label on there. As you can see, you can put in pen anything that you want to write on the on this bin. And of course, we have the QR code, and then we have this right here, which is more of a manual lookup if you need it to be, so you can scan this out. So now what we could do is we go back to the app, and now we're going to add a container by scanning a QR code. So we'll do that. And then we'll go over to the QR code. It saw the QR code, and it says image recognition, image, video, or none. We're going to stick with image right now. We can add the container. We can say add container with items, and it says cropping to 15 items or fewer improves results. So we'll say OK on that. And now we're going to take a picture, and inside here, we'll take a picture of the comic books. There we go. So there's the comic books inside of there. We're going to say done. And then it's being processed by AI. It'll do the exact same thing again. It'll basically say, okay, this is a comic book for, looks like Doomsday and some other comic books inside there. Yeah, there we go. A large dark blue plastic storage container with a molded lip and blah, blah, blah. Color dark blue. We can say, okay, description looks good. Color looks good. And then we can approve that. Let's get this out of the way. Now, as you can see, we can search for container with or without QR code. So that's in there. That's the ID, the J34J6L. And now we can add more items to the container. So more comic books or other books, yearbooks or whatever, Air Jordans, however you want to do that. But right now, this is inside the container. So if we go back here, we now have a list of items that we can look at. So if we want to go to the dark blue plastic storage container, that's where the Superman comic is. Boom, there we are. If we want to just look at the comic book collection, there it is right there with the comic books. Now we have some other options in here. We can set up categories. We can add without QR codes. If you have any help, you can ask anything. And of course, that'll come to an ask question to get started option. And so you can work from there. We can pull up the scanner, and that's just going to pull up the camera until we get a QR code in there. Let's do that. It saw a QR code. Now it's asking for how you want to deal with that. We won't do anything from there. Of course, you also have just the basic camera that will add anything. But now I have some organization to my comic books and to my bins. So I can set this out in the garage. I can set this out in the attic. I can set this out wherever. Inside of here, of course, once again, we have all the information on there, and then we can add more information to it. So we've got 4 different things here. We can add notes, as you can see. We can add a voice option to it. And we can hide that from the public. So if you have other people that are perusing this, that they won't see all this information in here. We can attach it. That calls up the iPhone storage. So I can save that in and attach that to certain things I have here. And then, of course, we can take more pictures. When you're done, you have this list on your phone. So when somebody says, hey, do you still have our yearbook? You can say, yeah, it's in the garage. It's on the 3rd shelf in the box labeled LJ35, which is underneath the QR code, because they won't have a QR code reader for that. But let's do this. Let's go ahead and take a QR code and let's just scan it with our camera app. So it brings it up. It sees that. It says open in Chrome, which of course that's the app that I use, the browser I use. And then that opens up to scanlily.com and it says no item is present, because that's true. I did not scan this for anything. So now if you go and call it up on your phone, call up the camera app, you can scan that QR code and get information just like that. Now, you might be asking yourself, what if somebody else is calling up that information? That's a good question. So I went out to the garage and I labeled a few of the boxes. I have some figures out there, some action figures, some comic books, some Christmas items, and I put QR codes on and I scanned them all. All right, so I have another phone. This is an Android phone, and I've got the page up here, right here. This is the QR code right here. So basically, I'm going to scan this in. And of course, there's the QR code. There's the link. We're going to click on that. And there's the listing right there. Notice that it comes with the picture. But let's do this. Let's say that I don't want the picture. I want to privatize this. So I'm going to go to edit and I'm going to say hide from public and I'm going to say update. Now, when I go back to the QR code, let's go ahead and close this out. Actually, I should be able to just refresh this. And then as a refresh, you see the picture just disappeared. So that means that you can hide stuff if you don't want people to see it online for a simple scan. So if somebody's in your garage and they're just kind of pulling out their phone, taking a picture of your QR codes, it can tell them what's in it, or it doesn't have to. And that's pretty encouraging if you are scanning something that people need to find out what's in on a shelf, in a box, in a tote somewhere. The next part is, let's say you want to see a little bit better organization of the items that you just scanned. We're on the desktop view here. And of course, we've logged into the Scanlily page, and we're seeing we don't have anything really set for location just yet, but I can. And we're saying we got items by location here, items by category, the comics versus the storage versus the storage solutions versus the Xmas stuff, the Christmas stuff. But the other thing is, it says we got a total of 14 items. Up on top, we can choose my items. We can go into the app to launch the app and go through the app view, which, as you can see, there's a web app view. We have the spreadsheet view, the inventory view, and the approved drafts. Let's go to the spreadsheet view. As you can see, there's everything that I just scanned in with all that information. It's got the ID, it's got the QR. And so if I need to get in there, I can look. Let's open up this one. There we go. We've got the picture and everything just organized in here. Let's go to the inventory view. Look at that. We got all our pictures right here. So we can see at a glance what we have. The night sky themed collectible card is in this tote right here. And so I can just look. It's somewhere in here. I'm not sure where it is, but it saw it. So it's in there. And then we have the approved drafts view. So as you can see, we can scroll through that and see what we've approved, whether it be comics, whether it be action figures, whether it be Christmas items, whether it be Air Jordans or anything like that. Now that we saw the app in action, now that we saw how you can set it up, how you can get everything going, you don't need to use the QR codes. Just keep that in mind. You can label the tote, and that way there's no QR codes on the side. You can use the small QR codes as well. I like this. Just looks like a matchbook. Let's go through the pros and cons. I'm breaking in here with an edit because I wanted to let you guys know that there was one point where we had a problem in reviewing this product, and I took it back to Scanlily and I said, hey, it's doing something that I wasn't expecting it to do. They found that there was a bug in there, and of course they fixed it. So it was a good thing. I was able to talk with the company and get it resolved. So if you have any problems, you should contact the company directly. But the more important thing is they're ready to fix any problems that you might see. It was fairly easy to catalog. It was fairly easy to get everything going. I got my garage now all set up with QR codes. So I say, hey, where are the Christmas decorations? Call it up here and I'll see the box that it's in, or I can just scan the QR codes in the garage and find the Christmas decorations in that box. So a couple different ways to do it. And of course, I don't need to have my main phone that has the Scanlily app on it. If I'm using a secondary phone, I can scan it. As long as everything's public, then I'll be able to see that through the cloud. Of course, this is an iOS device and this is an Android device. So whatever phone you're using, you can do that. You can download the Scanlily from the Play Store on Android or through the iOS App Store. But the real question is, how do you organize your garage, your attic, your whatever? Let me know in the comments below over at Geekazine.com, YouTube.com/Geekazine, where you can like, subscribe, hit that bell notification so you know when the next video comes out. Until next time, my name is Jeffrey Powers. Thanks a lot for watching. You guys geek out and get your stuff organized with Scanlily.